The 5.6 magnitude earthquake that shook the island on Monday is a reminder that we must remain resilient and prepared because disasters can strike at any time.
It's very important that our teachers and our parents have this conversation with our children. This is a very important practice that we should develop in our children.
Experts are also warning that more earthquakes are likely to happen, and with that,
right across our public and private sectors, it is a requirement that you have safety wardens appointed in your institutions. You should now be carrying out your drills and being prepared.
Hello and welcome. You're inside Jamaica Magazine, and I'm your host, Lisa Rowe. So glad you could join us. Keep watching. There is more in store just for you.
The public sector touches the life of every single Jamaican. And that is why the government is transforming the way the public sector operates by making better use of technology to improve the delivery of public services, by improving the compensation of public sector workers to attract and retain the skills needed to run a modern and efficient public service, through the training of workers to drive performance, innovation, and decision-making, by reducing waste and eliminating corruption, and other measures to make sure the country gets the best value from every dollar spent. The government of Jamaica is building a better public sector for all.
The number of dengue fever cases are surging across the island. Dengue fever is a disease transmitted through the bite from the female Aedes aegypti mosquito. These mosquitoes breed in any containerized environment, that is, anything that can hold water, such as drums, tires, buckets, animal feeding containers, and flower pots, to name a few. Those who are most affected are in the 5 to 14 age cohort. To slow down and stop the outbreak, the Ministry of Health and Wellness has initiated its dengue outbreak mitigation plan. This plan involves search and destroy operations, clinical management, workforce management, surveillance, and public education. The ministry also took its intervention into schools.
Dengue is as a result of how we coexist in our environment. It's as a result of how we impact things like climate change, how we store waste, and how society has to work together between the people, the partners, the government, the agencies, the community, to ensure that we keep mosquito population down and therefore reduce the threat.
During a recent visit to Flankers Primary and Junior High, students were taught how to search for and eradicate mosquito breeding sites. They were also armed with knowledge on the various ways to protect themselves from dengue fever.
Normally we have persons who store water, and in storing water, we want to ensure that this water is protected from mosquitoes, because we know that the mosquito need the water for development. Alright, 3 stages of the life cycle: egg, larva, pupa. The wiggle one need the water. We can either treat, based on what is here, with cooking oil. Add the cooking oil to the water, it creates a layer which prevents the larvae from breeding, thus preventing it from becoming adult. We have our treatment, what is called natural. It lasts for 6 to 8 weeks once it remains in the water. And it is slow release. So it acts to prevent the larvae from becoming adult.
Careful instructions were given on how to properly use mosquito repellent.
What we have here is a mosquito repellent containing deep brand of. We have different brands. However, it is to be used on the skin. Application, spray in hand, and apply over skin. It is not a one-time fix-all. Based on manufacturer's instruction, they say to reapply every 4 hours.
Other protective measures include the wearing of protective clothing and staying indoors in the early evening with windows and doors closed.
And you see a little wiggle thing in the water. I want you to bring it to the attention of mommy and daddy and say, mommy and daddy, dengue in the water. Let us deal with it now. So we're going to cure dengue in flankers if all of you know that. Cover up, dump up, clean up.
Are you non-partisan, able to read and write well, and ready to serve your country? The Electoral Office of Jamaica is recruiting persons like you to become Election Day workers. Apply at the nearest EOJ constituency office without delay. Bring a valid ID and TRN. Election Day workers will be trained and compensated. Together, we can ensure free and fair elections.
We have experienced probably the most significant earthquake we have experienced in the last 20 years. The earthquake is measured at a magnitude of 5.6. Whenever there are disasters, it lends itself to a feeling of uncertainty. We can't stop these natural events from happening, but we must be resilient. We must be prepared. And a part of our preparation is that your government must provide you with information, particularly in today's world where misinformation is indeed a part of our society. And you will have seen circulating on social media several images that are not true. We have seen items circulating that infrastructure is damaged or a plant is damaged or a critical utility is on fire, when that is not the case. Some people may think it's funny, it's a prank. Some people may think it's entertainment, but it has a real impact on how it misdirects our resources. Resources that could have been used to properly identify and properly assess and give service to people who are in need end up being misdirected because we can't take a chance. Once someone calls for help, we have to respond. So the duty of the government is to provide you with information so that you can be the judge of your circumstances and mitigate the uncertainty and face the future with confidence.
It's time again for the JIS Heritage Photo Competition. Are you a tertiary level student? Compose a photo on the theme Echoes of Freedom, tracing Jamaica's path from colonialism to republic, and make your best submission. Lots of prizes to be won. Visit jis.gov.jm for competition guidelines. Registration is still open. Deadline extended until Sunday, November 5 at midnight. The JIS Heritage Photo Competition 2023. Enter today.
On Get the Facts this week, we have two guests who are prepared to discuss the vexing issue of predial larceny and what it means for the safety of food we consume.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides information on government policies and initiatives. I'm Adrian Atkinson. While predial larceny is the theft of agricultural produce, farm theft spans a wider spectrum and includes the theft of cattle, crops, machinery, and even fishing gear. Here to tell us more about how farm theft affects the quality and safety of our food, as well as the measures in place to ensure food sustainability, is Chairman of the Youth in Agriculture Committee, Joseph Small. Welcome to the program and thank you so much for being here today. Let's talk about farm theft and how does that affect the quality of the foods we eat.
Well, Adrian, the quality of food and the safety of food is very important to all of us as humans, be it here in Jamaica or in the region or internationally. And so it is important that we consume food that is safe and not contaminated with any bacteria or other microbes, chemical hazards like pesticides or insecticides, as well as any physical hazards, be it stone, sand, paper, metal, and the like.
Yeah, and of course safety is very vital in terms of what we consume. Now let's talk a little bit about the theft of machinery and how does that affect or impact the food that we also consume.
Imagine rearing animals, or in the instance of crops, you're growing crops and you use machinery and tool to improve your efficiency and your productivity. And if those equipment or tools or machinery are stolen, then it would impact your ability to efficiently produce a certain volume per acre or yield that you would like. And so farm theft would negatively impact your production system in that regard.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about standards of agricultural produce. I mean, how do we know when food is contaminated?
Well, you can know when food is contaminated if, one, you purchase meat and the meat was not inspected by the relevant public health inspectors. It doesn't have that stamp of approval with the requisite information about the public health officer and the like. That is one way to know if you're purchasing contaminated meat, for example.
And so consumers are expected to purchase meat from
reputable sources.
Indeed. And as we talk about reputable sources, we talk about the regulatory bodies now and how they certify general safety for food, and whether or not that, petty thievery will undermine all the appropriate food standards.
I would rephrase to say that petty thievery and farm theft will always undermine the regulatory system if it was used to extract from the farm the produce or the animals that they were producing. So the regulatory bodies, however, have various standards that they use to try to allow for safe food to be produced, be it Global GAP, SQF, ISO, Codex GMP, Good Agricultural Practices, and the like are standards that would be used by the regulatory authorities so that farmers can meet those requirements and produce safe food.
So thank you so much for that very bit of information. We all have a responsibility to ensure that we contribute to the safety of our foods. We close out this segment with Chairman of the Youth in Agriculture Committee and Vice President of UAFA-J, Mr. Joseph Small. The conversation will continue with Chairman of the Island Advisory Council of the Jamaica Forage Clubs and President of the United Agriculturalists and Farmers Association of Jamaica, Reverend Roy Wickham. We have much more to come. Stay with us.
It's time again for the JIS Heritage Essay Competition. Are you a primary school student? Write a 400 to 500 word essay responding to the question, should Jamaica remain under the British monarchy or become a full republic? And win lots of prizes. Visit jis.gov.jm for competition guidelines. Registration is still open. Deadline extended until Sunday, November 5 at midnight. The JIS Heritage Essay Competition 2023. Enter today.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. According to the Public Health Meat Inspection Regulations 1989, no person shall slaughter or cause to be slaughtered any animal for human consumption unless such person has waited at least 24 hours before slaughter, and after slaughter the carcass has been drained, eviscerated, that's gutted, dissected and chilled in a defined manner. When a prairie larcenies do not follow the standards and the meat enters the food chain, there is no adherence to food safety norms. Our guest is chairman of the Island Advisory Council of the Jamaica Forage Clubs and president of the United Agriculturalists and Farmers Association of Jamaica, UAFA-J, Reverend Roy Wickham. Welcome to the program, Reverend Wickham.
Thank you very much.
And let us talk now a little bit about the measures that the government has put in place or have put in place to combat the issue of prairie larceny or farm theft.
Well, the government has put in place the matter of traceability, where they tag animals on what has to do mainly with cattle. Mm-hmm. But notwithstanding that, we do know that the act that deals with prairie larceny has been over 5 decades or perhaps beyond that. And as a result of that, it is something that has become an issue. There's also the legislation to bring harsher punishment to prairie thieves. There's also the development of prairie larceny unit of the police department. Superintendent Pasco is the person who leads this unit, and he's doing a good job. Notwithstanding this, however, there is a need to strengthen the structures so that you can have more effective dealing with the matter at the community levels, such as breakout at the community stations, putting in what I would call a comprehensive study to look at prairie larceny, to come up with a kind of value, to measure the value that is lost to farm theft or prairie larceny. But there's also the need to look beyond the $6 billion that oftentimes the government refers to the loss because of prairie larceny. From UAFA's perspective, we have been able to look at this economic loss to farmers, and we have, from our analysis, have recognized that it is about $30 billion and not $6 billion. Because what we have used to come away with that information is that we have looked at the opportunity loss. For example, a farmer may have brought in a well enough bull that he requires to use on this farm to get better genetical output. And that bull is stolen, slaughtered, and all the thief sees is money in his pocket and food on the table. But for the farmer, that's a great loss, because what the expectation was has been reduced, not only with animals, but also with plants or other produce. There are farmers who may have brought in certain genetical ideas or concepts that they wanted to improve on their crops. And when the crops are stolen, then you have that problem likewise. So we have been encouraging our farmers through our robust online group,
yes,
where farmers express within this group online chat the concerns they have, and as a result we have training, we have webinars, we have not only webinars by way of imparting the knowledge and information to people, but also advise them as to how they can use or utilize the various technologies to combat prairie larceny. So whether it is going to be cameras, whether it's going to be farmers group watch, among other things.
Yes, and I'm happy that you touched on the whole issue of safeguarding livestock and produce and other agricultural supplies. How often are the farmers exposed to these trainings and webinars?
Well, since our inception, we have had 2 webinars on farm theft. One looked at the cost, and one looked at the negative impact of the health from prairie larceny. We have other webinars planned that are slated to come on stream in 2024.
Indeed. And so how can persons gain more information in terms of, the effects of farm theft?
Persons can get more information by way of becoming members of UEFA. They can join by writing to the secretariat at uefa@gmail.com. They can also see information on the UEFA YouTube channel, and they can make contact with the General Secretary at 876-345-1590. And there they can get information.
Absolutely. And so I'll give you the opportunity for a final word to those who are watching this program today.
I will say that food security and safety will always be challenged from farm theft. It will always be undermined as a result of thieves. The business of agriculture sector is too important for us to just give it mere lip service. It requires all hands on deck. Never be too quick, I would say to our people, to buy a lower cost food, because this item may just be the difference between your health and the country's productivity.
And of course, all hands on deck is required if it is that we are going to be fighting this issue of prairie larceny or farm theft. This has been Get the Facts. Our guests were Chairman of the Youth in Agriculture Committee and Vice President of UEFA-J, Mr. Joseph Small, in the first segment, and Reverend Roy Wickham, who is the Chairman of the Island Advisory Council of the Jamaica Forage Clubs and President of UEFA-J. Thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Take care.
It's time again for the JIS Heritage Poster Competition. Are you a secondary level student? Design a digitally or illustrated poster on the theme Echoes of Freedom, tracing Jamaica's path from colonialism to republic. Let's see your best design. Lots of prizes to be won. Visit jis.gov.jm for competition guidelines. Registration is still open. Deadline extended until Sunday, November 5 at midnight. The JIS Heritage Poster Competition 2023. Enter today.
We got a number of calls, of course, from the schools, seeking assistance in terms of students panicking, wanting assessment to be done of their structure. So we responded to approximately 32 of those calls. We had three collapse structure in that number, one in Ramble in St. Thomas. We had a derelict building on Church Street downtown, and of course there was a structure in Portland that got damaged as well. What we observed from our assessment in terms of how persons would have conducted themselves during and after the event, it tells us that we have a bit of work to do in terms of our public education campaign. We would want to encourage persons to continue to practice their earthquake drills. We are hoping as a fire brigade to assist in that regard. We believe it's critical that in light of the fact that there is no early warning for earthquake, our best chance of survival is preparation. And all of us need to take that seriously.
At police emergency, we were able to continue our responses. We got the calls coming in from members of the public through to 119. We were down, let's say, for about 10 minutes. However, our police network was up and running throughout the period and continue to be. So our emergency response remained the same in terms of our coordination, The members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, like the JDF, is also trained to support in terms of evacuation, search and response.
During the earthquake, our operations continued. We had no interruptions in how we postured across the country. We were able to still continue our daily operations in terms of patrols, etc., and assistance to the JCF.
We have teams of firefighters out in the field, still conducting assessment, working in conjunction in some instances with the municipal corporations, making sure that persons are assured in terms of their building, whether or not it's safe for them to reoccupy. From a fire safety perspective, but also from a structural perspective. We'll work along with the engineers who are available to us.
The JCF remains committed to the security of our nation, and it is through partnership that we will survive events like these.
We also stand ready to assist as we maintain a disaster assistance response capability that allows us to assist where required as directed by the government and the headquarters.
Our fire prevention branch is available, to come and work with you to, one, update your plan, but also assist you in conducting drills. We recommend that you conduct drills at least twice per year.
Come, let me take you down to the past.
And just like that, we're signing out for today. But not to worry, you can rewatch this offering or other content like it by visiting our website, jis.gov.jm. Join us on this station tomorrow as we bring you another informative, educational, and entertaining package of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Lisa Rowe. Thank you for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.